I'm so glad you're here, and I'm so glad I'm here to help you get through the Avada theme. There's a lot to it. It goes deep, 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 deep. And unless you understand how it thinks, you're going to be very, very frustrated. So as an example, I want to change this whole background image. I want to change this text, etc., etc. So let's understand how we can do this. So let's go back to our page. Here's the front end. Here's the back end. Now, again, if you go back to your page here, you're going to be very perplexed to say, wait a second. This text right here is basically this text down here. Now, why is it this red background? Well, part of the reason it's a red background, because you'll notice that I did this when I paused the video, I put in a red background here. We're going to take that background away to make it default. I'm just going to update those changes. So therefore, if you refresh the page, you will see that that background is gone. I just did that as a little for instance, but here's what we need to focus on. Because unless you know how to do this, you're going to drive yourself absolutely insane. Why is that not taking effect here? Let's go update those changes and preview changes. Apparently it got stuck in the cache. Not to be confused with Johnny. Ha! Johnny Cash, the guy's a riot. Okay, so the page loads up. I come down here. And that colored background is now gone. All right, now here's what we need to examine. Again, this information here, you'll see, wait a second, if I scroll down a bit here, go to my visual side, you will see that this information here is actually not this information, but it's down in here. So it's like, wait a second, what's happening? How do I don't even see where this exists. Is that a background image? It says background image, but there's no URL here. Well, you got to do a little bit more detective work. So here's what we're going to do. If you flip over to your Fusion Page Builder, which is a visual element of working with Avada, and we're going to go deep into this, so just bear with me here. Here's what I want to share with you. If I scroll down here and you click on sidebars, well, there's no sidebar, but if I click on sliders, notice that my select Fusion slider is something called Avada Home. Huh, I have these different sliders already in here. What's this Avada Home? Well, let's explore that. If I scroll down to the bottom here, there's Fusion Slider. Now, what I want to do is I want to keep this page here. So again, I can right-click Windows, Control-click Macintosh, and I'm going to go edit my sliders. And I'll open this up in a new tab. So again, it's just a good way to work because it keeps the other stuff in place. Okay, now the slider we're looking for is the home slider, which is this one right here. And if I hit the edit button, you will see there's the Avada Home slider, there's the information for it, etc., etc., etc. Now, this is for the slider itself. This is the edit the slider. So if you wanted to edit the slider with width, height, etc., etc., this is how you do it. You want it to fade. You want it to slide in, slide out. So we don't want to go to edit sliders. We want to go to edit slides. We want to go to edit sliders. So we're going to click here. You know, it's amazing. Sometimes I can't chew gum and walk. I want to go to edit slides, not slider. And if I go to the home slider by clicking right there, you will see exactly what we're looking for. The type of background, it's an image, it's center aligned, and this is where this information is coming from. Okay, so this information here was under Edit Slide, and it's part of the Avada Home slider. And there's the featured image right there that we can swap out and do something else. So let's actually do that. So I'm going to click right there to select that image, and I can see that image is 1100 by 550. So let's say that I wanted to swap that out with something else. So let's do the same thing. I'm going to edit the image. I'm going to take the image and I'm going to copy the image. I'm going to copy it to the clipboard. I'm going to select, actually this works slightly different here. If I go to, now you'll notice that this back end here works a little different. It gives you a dialog, but gives you a screen to grab. I don't want to do that, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take the URL to the image. I'm going to copy that. I'm going to make a brand new browser window, and I'm going to paste, copy, paste. So there is the image right there. Then with the image selected, I'm going to take this and I'm going to copy the image. Now I'm going to, let's do that again. See, if I click here to edit the image, it's not going to behave exactly the same way. See, if I right click or control click on this to copy the image, I'm going to get this kind of wacky stuff happening. And it's not going to copy the whole image, it's going to copy the size of the image. So as an example, if you click over here, I could select the aspect ratio. I don't want to crop. Anyway, the bottom line is this. I'm just going to click out of that because what I want to do is, let's go back into this again. I want to get the actual URL to the image. So once I get the URL to the image, I can just paste it into here. So I'm going to copy the URL, make myself a new tab, Command T, Control T for Windows, and now it's Child's Play. Now I can take the image, copy it, and go into Fireworks or Photoshop. So back inside of Fireworks, I'm going to make myself a new file that will create the file the same size of what I just copied. And in this particular case, I'm going to paste, and we'll just call this Home Slide. Home Slide 1, just in case I have a 2 or 3 or 4. So let's call this Home Slide version 1. All right, now we're just going to do some simple changes here. We're going to do some, I'm going to put some other information in here. Let's navigate our way to a file. I'm going to go to here. Let's just grab a couple of these files here. And I'm just going to make it so it's just visually different. I'm going to decrease the size of this. Just to share with you, I can just change the slide. That's the whole purpose of this. And I'm just going to come over here. I'm just going to make that a little bit smaller, Command T. And I'll share with you a little trick here. In fact, here's what I want to do. Let's just do this. I'm going to put this image here. I'm going to cut it. I'm going to go to my pen tool, and I'm just going to pen around this. Here, here, and here. And from here, I'm going to paste inside, just like that. Okay, so let's save the changes. Now again, see, keep in mind, since this is a flat file, this doesn't have to be a PNG file. So what I can do to save file size, which is always important for the web, is I'm going to export this, File Export, Command-Shift-R, and I'll just call that Home Slider JPEG. See, this is a JPEG, this is a PNG. The JPEG is what we're going to bring into our WordPress. So let's go back into WordPress. So back inside of WordPress, I just want to take the existing information here, and if I go back at it here again, we're going to remove that image, and we're going to set a new featured image. So if I go to upload file, keep in mind because it's the same exact size, we're going to go to the JPEG file, not the PNG file, the JPEG file that we just created, and set featured image. All right, now nothing else we changed. What we want to do here is number 1, selling WordPress video training plugins, because that's what I do. Okay, so now I update that change. Now again, production technique. I don't want to keep flipping back and forth between closing window, going to the window, so I'm going to keep this window exact where it is. So now when I come here and I refresh the page, I should see the different information. And just like that. Now, this text is a little bit bigger for the area, but you'll see that I did change that. And if you want to tone that down a little bit because it's a little bit bold and beautiful, so I can go back into here, I would have to go to edit the information here. So if you go here, okay. Now, unfortunately, if I go to edit image here, there's no, I could flip it, I could do all kinds of different things, but if you want to change the transparency of it according to these tools, I have flip, all the other things I could do, but I can't change the transparency of it. So what I would need to do is go back into Fireworks. Now there are plugins and stuff that you can do, but we're going to keep this simple. So let's go back into Fireworks. And from Fireworks, all we need to do, because keep in mind, this is on a transparent background, so I can just go into my layers, and just like in Photoshop, I can just take the transparency down a bit. So I'm going to take the transparency down for 55%, and also take the transparency down here to 55%. And there you go. So I'm going to save the changes, export the file, and we'll just call this version 1T, not B, T for transparency. You get it? So let's do this. Let's go back to WordPress. So back in WordPress, we're going to upload another file. Now, if you want to trash that one, if you know you're not going to use it at all, then we could do that. Now, keep in mind that that's not going to work now, is it? Because JPEGs don't support transparency, but I made it faded out, so it's going to give the illusion of transparency. So it's not a transparent background, but it did make it transparent, if that makes any sense. So now if I click here, now I have my transparent. See, I hit the update. It just faded out the image. It didn't actually make a true transparency. So now if I come up here and I refresh the page, you'll see that that looks a little bit nicer. Okay, so that's how you change that particular background and the rest of the page. Now I'm going to share with you some other powerful techniques working with the Avada theme in our next video, so stay tuned. Are we learning anything yet? I hope so.